Hey everyone, okay, so I am going to show you how to make wool longies out of a recycled wool sweater. Um, so basically, you can get a wool sweater from your local Goodwill, or Salvation Army, or some other thrift store for fairly cheap. Usually around $3 or $4 you can get a used sweater, and sometimes when your local shops have sales, you can get them for as little as $1 a piece. So you can really get some good deals on some nice wool in your thrift shops. So, or if you have something laying around the house that you're not ever going to wear again, you can use that too. So I'm just going to show you how I make my recycled wool longies. It's a cheap, inexpensive way to use wool while cloth diapering. So let's get started. Okay, so I got two sweaters today. Sorry, the sun is kind of washing that one out right now, but anyways, this is just an Old Navy sweater, and as you can see, it is 100% lamb's wool. Now you need it to be at least 100%, well, 100% wool, even 80% wool will work, but the closer to 100 you get, the better, and lamb's wool is the best wool to be doing this with. And usually when you shop at Goodwill or your thrift stores for wool sweaters, the main reason people get rid of their wool sweaters is because they have washed them and dried them. And you can't wash and dry wool because it shrinks it up severely. So usually that's the reason people get rid of it, which when you're doing, when you're making wool longies or wool soakers, that's perfect, because if you get one that is not already felted, or if you're unsure if it's been felted, what you're going to do first is you're going to put it in the wash machine on the hottest water possible. You're going to do a hot wash with a cold rinse, and then you're going to throw it in your dryer and dry it on high heat. That's going to shrink the fibers of the wool, and that's what you want. You want it to completely felt together. That's going to help it stay waterproof when your child's wearing it over his or her diaper. And here's another one that I got, and I don't even know what the brand of this one is, but I've worked, and it doesn't really say how much wool is in this one or what kind of wool is in it, but I've worked with so much wool lately that I can pretty much tell what is a good wool and what is a bad wool just by feeling it. So I picked this one up too. I thought it was a really cute print. So anyways, you're going to get, the way I do this is using a Katrina soaker pattern, and you can get the pattern online, and I'll leave a link below. So I'm going to cut out the pieces. This one I'm making as a large for my son. So I'll cut the pieces out, and then I'll show you where we go from there. Okay, one thing before I start cutting out the pattern. Before you cut out your pattern, you're going to want to cut your sleeves off. And to do that, I just cut right along the seam and cut each sleeve off. And so it'll make it look like you have like some kind of sweater vest. So do that first, and then cut your pattern out of your sweater. And if you have a cute print or something, you might want to try to line the pattern up to meet the print. So yeah, I'm going to get started, and I'll show you guys the next steps. Okay, so I have my pieces cut out. This is the center part of the Katrina soaker pattern. This is the waist of the Katrina soaker pattern. And this is just the sleeves that we cut out. And this is some extra material that I have cut loose that I am going to make a matching hat out of. Now if you have a heavy wetter, you could use the extra soaker, cut the extra fabric out, and then it would lay in this section. You would use your sewing machine, stitch the soaker to the wrong side of the fabric, and then you would proceed with the next steps. I'm going to leave this part out because well, I'm just not going to add that in. I have used them before, but my son doesn't really need them. I usually just make them without. Now, if I was going to use these for nighttime, I would definitely put these in, just because nighttime you tend to have more heavy wetters. Now, when trimming the sleeves down, you want to make sure you line up the bottom. completely even so that you don't have one leg longer than the other. Find a pair of pants that your child wears that's a good length. And what you're going to do is you're going to line this bottom up with that bottom. So lay it on top. Like that. And then here is your seam line. You're going to cut right here. Personally, I like to make mine a little bit longer. And then if I need to, I just roll up the bottoms for my son. He is a little long-legged, and so yeah, plus I just like them a little longer on them. I think they're cute when they are just a little long. But that's the one good thing with the wool, is you can always roll up and have a cuff at the bottom if you make them too long. So if you make them too long, it's perfectly okay. You just don't want to make them too short because you can't stretch them out once you've cut them. So I'm going to make the cut and then we'll get to sewing. Okay, so the first step is you're going to take the center part of your soaker and you are going to put the right sides of the soaker together so that the wrong sides are facing out. You're going to line up the sides right here, and then you're going to serge along the edges. Now if you don't have a serger, you can use a zigzag stitch down the edges. Now you want to make sure that when you're doing this that you are catching both sides of the fabric. If you don't catch both sides of the fabric, you're going to end up with holes in your soaker. So you want to make sure that it is catching both sides all the way down. Okay, so now you have, let me zoom out, oh, wrong way. Okay, so now you have the center part of the soaker done, and again this is inside out. So the next step is going to be sewing the waistband together. When you cut on the fold, you're going to have one opening, so you're going to sew all the way down the raw edge of the waistband. Again, making sure that the edges are flush at the top as well as flush at the bottom. Okay, so the next step is putting the pant legs onto the center part of the soaker. So you want to leave your pant legs right side out, and you're actually going to slide them while your soaker's still inside out. You're going to take the bottom of the pants legs, put it through the hole of the soaker. Now I like to find the seam of the sleeve that we've cut, and I like for the sleeve to, or the seam to be on the back side of the soaker where the bottom's at. So I like the seam to kind of be like right here. So I'm just going to take my sleeve and fix it to where that seam is going to be at the very back. If you put the seam in the middle or near this seam, it seems like it's too much pulling on the seam. So just for the sake of that, we're just going to put it in where the seam fits the back. Yes, baby. Alright, so I have an in, and I do have some extra, And so what I do is when I use my serger, I'll just cut all that extra off as I serge around. And since the pant legs are, thank you, baby. Since the pant legs are cut at the exact same size, I'll have the exact same amount to be cut off on the next leg. So while it's still inside out, you're just going to serge around the edges, making sure that you catch every bit of the fabric. You don't want to not catch all the fabric because, again, you're going to have a hole somewhere if you don't catch all the fabric. So let's get started. Oh, Noah wants to help. Say hi, Noah. Can you say hi? Oh, hi. Can you say hi? Hi, good job. Okay, you can see that I've taken the side part of the serger loose so that I can wrap the leg around this part of the serger to make the sewing easier. Alright, start with it flush at the center of the soaker between the legs, and then go ahead and work on cutting the extra material off with your blade on your serger. And again, make sure you catch all of that all that fabric on both edges. Now, when I get to the next seam, I open my door here. I make a few extra cuts to get past where I started, and then I lift my blade out of the way, and then I finish serging over past where I started. And then when I'm finished, pull that off and snip your ends. Now, I would suggest turning it back the right way and just check your seams to make sure you got everything. Make sure there's no holes in your seams. And there's no holes there, so that's good. So just turn it back inside out. And we're going to do the same thing for the other leg. Okay, so you are going to take your longies inside out, and your band, you are going to fold the raw edges together all the way around. You're going to put it on the inside. You can pin it if you like, or you can hold it like I'm going to do, and then sew all the way around the edges, making sure that you keep all the edges even so that you catch all the edges while you're sewing. Okay, and then when you're finished, just turn it inside out, or right side out. And you have yourself, oh, there's a little piece of thread. And then you have yourself pair of longies. Let's see if I can pull this camera back some. There you go. Noah's in bed, but tomorrow I will post a picture on Facebook of him wearing them so that you can see how they look on. If you're already on my Facebook, he has some pictures of him wearing longies that I've made already if you want to check those out. But anyhow, that's it. That's how you make them.